Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to News Dose, and a massive Xbox game potentially leaked out a bit early due to a slip-up from one of their partners. So, I mean, on one side here, by all indication, something absolutely leaked out, but as to exactly what, that right now is the question. Now, if speculation is correct, though, fans are going to be absolutely ecstatic. So we're going to get into that here in just a bit, as well as a new AAA game that seems to have a bit of a problem, and I do think that other game studios really need to clue in on this because it's starting to get a little bit ridiculous by this point. First, though, I do want to thank my supporters on Patreon and on YouTube memberships. Thank you just so much for what you do, and you will receive this video through early access. Let's go and get right into things, though, starting off with Metroid Prime 4. Now, there's been a lot of back and forth about whether this game will actually release in 2025, as Nintendo claims. Now, Nintendo seems to be adamant that it will. They've mentioned that various different times already, but for whatever reason, they just haven't locked down on an exact release date quite yet. So fans are taking that as possibly a bad sign, and, I mean, they're kind of on edge by this point. But that might not last much longer. An ESRB rating was recently spotted online, and while this isn't necessarily a guarantee that it'll release in 2025, sometimes a rating can sit there for months or even longer than that. But however, it is at the very least a good sign. A lot of times when we see these ratings pop up online, some kind of a reveal or an announcement follows shortly thereafter. That's why I like to call these rating boards some of the biggest leakers out there. They just can't seem to keep a secret. Now, if Nintendo has a soonish announcement, though, I'd look to September. Nintendo does like that month for some of their bigger directs, and even though we just got a direct, there's still several big 2025 games for the Switch 2 that we don't have a release date for yet. So I think another direct does make some sense for those games specifically, which could actually include Metroid Prime 4 as well. Now, we also got an update for the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. They added 2 more games to its roster, being Mortal Kombat Mythologies of Sub-Zero and also Mortal Kombat Special Forces. Now, these aren't necessarily the most popular entries in the series, but I think it's still really cool that they're adding them. They definitely have their own fans, and it's cool to see some of the more obscure titles make an appearance as well. Mortal Kombat is just such a huge franchise. Really, it was a cultural phenomenon back in the 90s and really even in the early 2000s. So the more that they can add for longtime Mortal Kombat fans, I mean, the better. The fact that fans can also get a true physical version, including on the Switch too for that matter, is really a great thing to see and just kind of shows you the amount of effort that they're putting into this collection. I think for me, my only disappointment is that it doesn't include some of the PlayStation 2 games, which are actually some of my favorites in the series. Games like Shaolin Monks, Deception, and Deadly Alliance being my favorite of the 3. I mean, who knows, maybe we'll get a second collection later down the road that will include those games, but for the time being, this actually looks like a really good collection, all things considered. Now, speaking of physical games a moment ago, unfortunately, there has been some concern about Gears of War Reloaded. It is getting a physical release for the PlayStation 5, which that in itself has been a little bit controversial because there's no physical version for the Xbox. Some Xbox fans are a little upset about that because Microsoft is giving Sony fans a physical version, but not their own fans that's been with them for decades. It's definitely a strange look, there's no doubt about that, but like I said a few months ago when this was first revealed, Xbox already has a physical release being Gears of War Ultimate Edition. Reloaded is more or less the same game, just with some extra enhancements, which Ultimate Edition will be upgraded to. I mean, I still think that they should have put out an Xbox version for fans that want those enhanced editions on disc, but nonetheless, there's now a new controversy because the PS5 retail box was spotted and it says that a download is required to play the game. So now there's that question about what's actually included on the PlayStation 5 disc, and I'm going to go ahead and put out another fire here. These type of warnings doesn't necessarily mean that nothing is on disc, and in fact, in this case, I'm happy to say that the campaign is actually included. Does Play confirm that on their Twitter account, and you can see their statement here. We can confirm through an early physical copy from an eastern region that Gears of War Reloaded has the campaign on disc and is bootable offline. Everything else seems to require you to patch, be online. Now, they also confirmed that that includes co-op, so no worries there. This is mostly a true physical release, which is Actually really nice to see considering Xbox's reputation for physical games. A lot of their games doesn't include everything on disc, but their past 2 games have been a pretty good sign for the future, with both Tony Hawk and now Gears of War Reloaded actually being on disc. Okay, now onto the big leak that really has Xbox fans excited, and you know what? Actually, I'm going to go ahead and expand that. More specifically, it has Forza Horizon fans very, very excited. There are now a lot of fans on the PlayStation 5 as well. Forza Horizon 5 has been very successful on PlayStation, with several million units already sold. But what's happening here is that a car company may have leaked the region in which the next game will take place in, or at least that's what fans are currently hoping is the case. Now, I'll circle back to that here in just a moment, but first let's go and take a look at why fans believe this to be the case. We can see here posted up by VGT Gaming that they said leaked. Forza Horizon 6 Japan setting may have been leaked via a now deleted Instagram post from Australian car import company Colton Classic, referring to scanning K-cars for the next game. K-cars are a Japanese category of small, lightweight vehicles that adhere to strict size and engine displacement regulations, offering tax breaks and other benefits in Japan. Now we can actually read that deleted Instagram post here, which says, "Exciting news, we have Cody here from Forza Horizon Official shooting cars for the next installation in the series. As there are no late model K cars in America, he has flown out from the States to use our cars as the basis for their digital versions. We are huge gamers here at Colton Classic, and it is an honor to be supporting Forza and making K cars accessible virtually for people who can't have them in real life. If you buy a car that they've scanned, we have a prize for you too. How good?" Now, what I'll say here is that we know for a fact that Forza Horizon 6 will likely release in 2026. That itself is known, because back during the Xbox Summer Showcase, Phil Spencer said, "I'm excited to share that players will get to celebrate 25 years of Xbox with a new Fable, the next Forza, Gears of War E-Day, and the return of a classic that's been with us since the beginning," which honestly sounds very much like Halo. So Forza Horizon 6 seems to be the game that he might be hinting in terms of the Forza series. And I mention all of that because there has been some speculation that this leak could be for some kind of DLC for Forza Horizon 5. And technically, that could be true. But they specifically said the next installation in the series, which very well seems to be coming next year in 2026, according to Phil Spencer himself. Now, the reason that fans are speculating that this means that the next entry will be set in Japan is because K-cars are designed specifically to meet Japan's regulations. So it is kind of rare to see these type of cars elsewhere. But I also want to caution fans from taking this as a 100% confirmation that this means that it will be located in Japan, because these type of cars are still elsewhere in the world. Places in Europe, Australia, and even in the United States does import K cars. Now, again, though, just because of how deeply rooted that they are in Japan specifically, this could still be a very good indication. So, we're going to have to wait and see, but who knows? They could actually be located in Japan. Let me know what you all think about this in the comments below, though. Would you like the next game to be located in Japan? And if not, what would your preferred location be instead? Now, one more thing before we go, and I just think that this is so incredibly frustrating given all the data that we have. And this is for actually one of my most anticipated games this year, being Metal Gear Solid Delta. Unfortunately, I have some good news here, and then I also have some bad news. The good news is that it's reviewing very well, as it should be, being an all-time classic. Currently has an 86 overall score on Metacritic, and one of the great things that I'm currently hearing is that it's very faithful to the original. It has some quality of life improvements, which improves its overall experience, but it's not censored or changed. That's been a very annoying trend with other remakes that we've seen these past few years, but thankfully, this is still the Metal Gear Solid 3 experience that became a classic all those years ago. You can even change its color palette to Legacy Mode, which makes it a little bit more similar to the original title. Now, unfortunately, though, the one big complaint that we've been consistently hearing is that its performance isn't up to the 60 FPS standard. Now, it has a performance mode, but reportedly, it's kind of all over the place, regardless of which console you play on. Even the PlayStation 5 Pro, which you would expect to have better performance, still has problems. And in some cases, it's even more severe on the PlayStation 5 Pro. And that's so incredibly frustrating. I just don't understand how game studios in the year of 2025 still aren't prioritizing performance first and foremost. I mean, we know for a fact that most gamers choose to play in performance mode. So why are we not prioritizing 60 frames per second? At the bare minimum, give us a 40 FPS option if you just can't reach 60 FPS for whatever reason. Now, I do understand that some of this is because of Unreal Engine 5. This has been a trend for UE5 games on consoles all generation long. I mean, they'll likely get fixed with the eventual PS6 and the next Xbox via backwards compatibility, but I don't know, maybe we should stop pushing UE5 games out for this generation. If it has problems, just don't use it. I mean, I hope they patch Metal Gear Solid Delta, but it's still just so incredibly frustrating because we shouldn't have to speculate about a patch like this before game even launch. Maybe get it right the first time. I don't know. It is what it is, I guess. But man, why did this have to happen to Metal Gear Solid Delta out of all games? That just frustrating is all I can say. Anyways, though, that's going to be it for this episode. But until next time, make sure to subscribe, ring that bell, and peace out.